It is.
Okay. All right, it's 5 o'clock. I'd like to call the November Public Works to order. It is 5 o'clock, so we will start with Highway. Tony, you're up first.
All right.
You're warding off all the snow.
I tell you.
Doing my best. All right. So the crews have been putting up snow fence, and we started hauling and stockpiling some sand and salt, and putting all the plow trucks together. The usual patching, shoulders and roadways, cleaning ditches, clearing brush, roadside sign maintenance, equipment maintenance. We completed mowing of county highways. I judge it. Landfills and airport for the year. We completed 2.3 miles of pavement marking and shoulder backup on County Route 46 in the town of Stuyvesant. And we completed 3.4 miles of pavement marking and shoulder backup on County Route 9 in the town of Livingston. Personnel, hired 6 seasonal laborers. We hired 1 motor equipment operator. We have 1 motor equipment operator out on workers' comp and 1 motor equipment operator out on extended medical leave.
Is this the first year we've been able to find 6 seasonal workers? I think.
This is the first year we've been able to find them this quick, and I
That's
actually
good,
had
yeah.
applications come in after the fact.
Okay,
We were already
awesome.
full, so,
It's a good sign.
yeah, it's a real good sign. No new business, and I have 2 resolution requests.
Move it.
Second.
Hey, who said no?
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then the second one, authorization to transfer 22,000 from the DL contractual repair budget to the DL highway outpost budget line. And that's to cover some unforeseen expenses, including the Kinderhook outpost.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All that.
Well, you got it. All right.
You're welcome.
There's no other questions for Tony. We'll move to solid waste.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
Oh, no, you're like a normal. Reach. Oh, man.
Okay, so from last month, we were talking about 2 household hazardous waste days versus 1. And was tasked to kind of come up with a price on that. And so the numbers obviously are going to make it a little difficult for me to sell you guys and the Board of Supervisors that we should only be hosting 1 collection day a year, because you saw with our numbers, you know, we had 506 households on our first event this year, almost 300 households on the second event. So, I mean, that's over half. Over the course of the 4 hours, you know, it seems that the 500, you know, we're busy, we're moving. So I just wanted to give you a little history. The county only has hosted 1 event per year prior to 2021. In 2021, there was not a collection event because of COVID.
Right.
So in 2022, the Paint Care program became available in New York State starting May 1st. Our first event in 2022 was on May 7th. We were the first household hazardous waste collection day in New York State to also partner with Paint Care. We became inundated with a significant number of residents. Unfortunately, we had to turn some of them away on our first date. So we did a second date a month later to help with the residents that were turned away the first. After that happened, we went out to bid with the possibility of having 2 per year. So 2023 and 2024 were, that's not true. So 2023, we had 2, 420 were the first day of the first one, 280 was the second event. And then we went out to bid for 2024 and 2025 with the option to have 2 or 1, depending. And so this year we did 506 and for the first and 297 for the second. Our department on average, work about 40 hours total coordinating the event. So that would be my tractor trailer dispatcher, me, and then the day of the event, 2 other individuals that have to work the event with us. That also, we have highway employees that are utilizing about 6 hours of their time. We're asking the deputies to provide 2 deputies. Usually I can get 1, not 2. So the Sunday event, on top of the fact that we're filling 1 trailer completely, but the other one just a little bit, but having to pay for both trailers. And the first event, we always have 3 full trailers. It's about $1,500 in additional labor charges on top of everything else, which I know, like I said in the beginning, it's going to be hard for me to sell that. But the second event, we're not collecting as much product for the amount of time that we're putting in. And it's all overtime. It's, Saturdays, we're still open. So the people that we're using are already scheduled on Saturday. So it's just a couple of hours overtime. Mine, I don't get paid. So I know you guys are lucky on that, but, so I just want, it's something to think about as we move forward. I've been tasked to try and help the county and our department specifically with not, like reining in.
Finding losses, yeah.
Yeah, so
But the state reimburses us
only
for,
50%,
but
but
it's,
not
is it of the
labor.
overall in-kind stuff?
No,
just the
so it's
materials.
not it's just the materials that are on the acceptable list. So a lot of times we're bringing in things that might actually not large amounts, but there are $70,300 went this year. That's not all reimbursable. So we are not going to be covering half of the 70,000. It'll be about 26 to 28,000. So it's not quite half when you incorporate all of the money into it. So just something to think about moving forward. I have the option within our contract that we can opt in for 1 or 2 with our MXI. And so
Do we have the first date scheduled now?
I have them both. I have the first
Tentative.
date scheduled. The second date is tentatively scheduled. So they're being held for us.
Okay,
It's a general overtime expense between Sunday and if you had both events on Saturday.
So the reason why we are doing 1 event on Saturday and 1 event on Sunday is because it was doing 2 events on Saturday. We've already done it on a Saturday and not everyone can make it on a Saturday. So then we were trying to accommodate more people. But I really think that if the press, our towns, our clerks, our climate smart communities got involved and really pushed this, we could have a one-time event that was attended by as many residents as that want to come, and we'll be busy the whole day. It will be worth the money that the county is
More
spending
productive,
on it, and we'll just have to provide just 1. MXI for October was 30,425. And then it was almost 40,000 in May.
we'll get
So-
50% of that from the state.
Roughly
Someday,
50%,
right.
yeah. It usually averages about 46% because there are some things being collected that aren't on the list.
But you said we shipped almost 3 times the volume on.
We shipped 3
Spring.
times in the spring, yeah. Yep.
And how they've caught up with us a little bit, I think, on reimbursements now. I mean, there
Yeah,
was a time that we
still
were 3 years
waiting this
behind
year.
or something,
We haven't received this year's yet. So,
okay.
but
I mean,
from what I
you got last
understand,
year, so that's,
everything else is
right.
closed out, yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
Because there was a time we were years
very
behind.
far behind, yeah.
No problem. Feel better.
Anyone have any questions? No? Okay.
Are you looking for? a
No, I
decision?
didn't do a resolution for it. I knew that it was gonna, it's something, I know that every time I've come to the committee,
Right.
I've asked for something that has created an issue. So even if this isn't something that we do for 2025, if you guys, think about it and discuss it, and maybe it's something that moving forward, we could just move back to the one, which is what we've always had.
But I think you make a good point about mobilizing the stakeholders and all the different advisory
Yeah.
committees that float around the municipalities.
Yep.
And I think with that, if we can get a little more advertising from the more local level, we can try to consolidate that.
Yeah, which would be helpful. And the company would appreciate it too, because, they're coming with all of these people. Every Sunday event, we have turned away a tractor trailer after it has gotten there. So it's just a lot of wasted time and effort is being put into something that's just kind of subpar. Okay. Sorry.
Don't be
All right,
sorry.
no, thank you for all the
You're
information.
responsible to the budget and the taxpayer.
Yeah, well, all right, so recycling stickers. The administrative office did send out, via email to all the municipal clerks in October after the, Board of Supervisors approved the changes. Just letting them know what's happening. We're going to be sending out all of the permits the beginning of December to all the clerks and stations. They're not going to be sold until the middle of December. I think it's around the 16th, if that's a Monday. Just a reminder that residents 65 and older that would like the reduced rate can only purchase them at a participating clerk. I did make signs. They're laminated at all the stations with all of the clerks that are 60 hours as of November 1st. And address and everything. So they're pretty well prepared there. We're going to be sending our clerks extra receipt books and extra permits because they're going to be, I think their traffic is. This is kind of a delayed public reminder, but our campaign signs are not recyclable and they have to be thrown out in your household trash. The stands are metal, they can go in the metal bin, but the signs themselves are not recyclable. A little delayed. I'll have to remember to do that next year in October, but just an FYI. We met with the Columbia County Department of Health regarding the sharps issues that we've been having at the Greenport station specifically. So they have assisted us. They provided us laminated informational flyers. They also did a little social media push for us with their kiosk locations and also just some information about that. So that was really helpful. We do have an AED at the Greenport transfer station now. It's located near the recycling pole barn in the station attendant's break room. We are talking about doing a possible training to employees that are interested, just so they kind of have an idea of how the AED works, although it's very self-explanatory once you open it. And we are also, I have Narcan on site now as well, and we will be doing training with the Department of Health for anyone that wants that for Narcan and also the bloodborne pathogens because of the syringe issues. The local solid waste management plan 2024 tasks. So we did not talk about this at all this year.
This isn't the 10-year.
This is not the, so this is the, no, so the local solid waste management plan is the 10-year plan that we have. It is on our website, right on the homepage. You can go peruse the 200 and some odd pages if you want. In that particular document, we do have, goals that we are supposed to be looking at throughout the 10 years. So one of our biggest tasks this year was a preliminary waste reduction policy for the county to implement. We don't have a December meeting. I did draft one. It is being reviewed right now. So in January, I'll be a little delayed on that, but that's okay.
Okay.
Thinking that maybe it's something that we could implement going into 2026. Basically what it looks like is, you know, if you don't have to photocopy, don't photocopy. If you don't have to print on paper and you can send it digitally, do that. Instead of doing three, well, I have papers too, but instead of having, you know, 3 contracts printed, if you're sending them digitally, maybe only have 2, those kind of things. If you're only printing on one side of the paper and it's scrap, cut it up and use it as scrap paper before you recycle it. It's a pretty basic plan, but it helps reduce the waste overall.
Kelly has done a great job because when we used to come here, we used to go home every night with a pile of papers. And now my mailbox has nothing. We have it all digitized. So.
Right, this is
All
much
digital.
Yep.
helpful.
But as you had mentioned, the product responsibility organizations, right? And trying to get them with a little more authority. Do you remember, like, I
Yes.
think you told me about Staples where you can now buy
Yes, so
those
Staples,
small boxes.
you don't
for
even
bags.
buy it. You just go in there, and they'll hand you, you ask for it. So we have a very large crowd today. So if you go to Staples, you can get a little box that you can put your batteries in to recycle, and you bring them back to Staples and they will credit your account, and you can recycle batteries. And that includes the rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, button batteries, all of that. So yeah, it's
at your local library.
not all local libraries though.
Kindergarten.
So Kinderhook Library might, but not all local libraries have that. So the 10-year plan is on the website. We've begun outlining the tasks for the 2025 calendar year. And the biennial update was submitted, and they have until the end of December to approve or ask for changes.
Okay.
And then finally, the preparations have begun on completing the required documents for the Greenport Transfer Station permit renewal. This needs to be submitted by February 1st for a renewal. I believe it expires July 31st of 2025, and they want it 180 days early. Most of the documentation that they're asking for is information that we'll have to basically make from scratch. And all of these requirements must meet the, the NYCRR code 360, and it needs to be stamped by our county engineer. I still have 1 full-time laborer out on workers' comp. We have the numbers for the month, well, the previous month. So November agenda for October, yeah.
Yep.
And we're still steady. We're very consistent with what we've been doing in the past. And then I have 1 resolution request. And I'm seeking permission to transfer $50,000 from our tip fee MRF line into our tip fee garbage line to cover expenses for a potential budget shortfall in December, since we're not meeting.
Move it. Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Facilities. Yep, they come in monthly and check it and whatever, yeah.
who did it, the other ones.
Yep, facilities. Good.
Any other questions for Wendy? That will move on to facilities.
Thank you.
Ray, are you gonna touch on solar at the transfer station or?
Oh, yeah, I can.
What's that?
I was gonna say something.
No, that's our new-
Yeah, just, we talked about having Centrica come today, but,
Go around and do some of the other ones. Yeah, right. Evening, everybody. Routine, monthly billing and property maintenance, the generator tests up to date. So I can basically get rid of the mowing and trimming. That's pretty much done now. Well, the sewer line maintenance is up to date. A couple things to touch on, over at DSS, we had the new chiller installed. We got to run it for a good week and a half, just to kind of iron out the bugs. So we drained it, covered it, so it's already set for winter time.
Great.
So let's see here, Board of Elections, this election, we tried something different this year. Instead of taking 6 days, 3 delivery, 3 pickup, we condensed it down to 2 the Monday before and Wednesday afterwards. So we got a good schedule and actually it worked out really good. So this way, you know, Board of Elections is happy, we're happy, everything good gets back and I don't have to send guys out for 6 days, you know, picking up machines. So it's actually a win-win for us. We are renting 3 trucks though, but you know, just for in case something happens to one, we have somewhat of a backup.
You're getting those trucks, okay? I know years ago we were.
Yeah, we get them locally now. Like the other ones, we, you know, like I said, they're, you know, it's.
They
You
wouldn't
make a
provide it to us,
reservation,
yeah,
but
right.
they can't honor it. So
Yeah,
that's
right.
why.
I know we had some trouble for that
Yeah,
2 years
so-
ago.
Now we actually have to spread out and like pick one up in, sometimes across the river and up in Chatham or right here in Hudson.
Okay.
So.
But you're getting them.
Yeah, we're getting them. So.
Thank you.
Solid waste, repaired some landfill vents, put a light over the digester and cleaned some of the lights in the top load building. Highway currently, we're working on a water line issue. We, found out we had a leak underground, so, you know, we've been researching and changing some of the valves out. It's kind of tricky there because water, don't ask me how they did it, but so we think we got a game plan. So it's gonna, you know, instead of replacing the whole thing, we're just gonna have to do a couple little pieces here and there. So, airport, you know, right now, luckily, I just got a hold of, one of the, technical guys up at where we, purchase our lights from. And he sent me the information. So right now we're working on, instead of replacing the whole light fixture, it's down to two items inside it, besides the globe. It's a light engine and a circuit board. Now he showed me how to test it. So I had the guys out there and now instead of spending like $360 per light, if it's on the runway, we can swap out usually the light engine for $120. So now we, you know, unless the light gets damaged. So this way we got, significant savings because we were just replacing them. Now there's the guy showed me how to do it. So we'll be able to save quite a bit of money going forward, out at the airport. Let's see here. Oh, at our water plant. So we had to dig a trench for the new propane line, cut the bolts off the old generator. So we had a new generator put in, new transfer switch, and they call it a docking station. So God forbid if the generator fails again, it takes me, you know, a good hour and a half to get a generator down there. It's all ready to go. We don't have to unhook anything. Just plug the leads in and we're fired up. So that went well. And then up at the Austerlitz, mountain, we're up there. We had to disconnect the electric and, run a new line and replace the generator. And then just dug a trench for the propane line. So we're just waiting on the propane line to get installed and that could, get fired back up. Regarding the card access control system, we're about 90%. We ran into some problems at 325. They had old strikes in the door, so I had to order new ones. So once it gets down, we just gotta, swap out a power supply and, put the new strikes in, and then we're pretty much all set. Hope everyone's fobs are working. So, yeah, and hopefully it's easier for you, so.
Should the door unlock itself?
Yeah.
That was a good thing.
Then, I got some, resolutions. The request is to transfer, out of our Philmont Nutrition Fund where we had some shortfalls. We ran into some problems with the sewer line. We had to jackhammer the floor up and, replace a lot of the piping in the
I'll move
floor,
it.
so.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
So, yeah, seeking authorization.
Move it.
Second.
Surplus mower?
Yep. She's 15
Motion
years
second,
old, so
all in favor?
yeah, it's we got our money's worth out of it.
Right.
And then, the other thing too is transfer some, courthouse funds. We ran into some problems, some of the units on the roof, circuit boards and the compressor. And when a compressor goes, it actually, I think that's when that sent some of the metal shavings. So we had to replace all the gas,
Yeah,
put the dryer in, so that's why we're hurting there.
motion is second, all in favor?
Read, that's it.
Any other questions for Brian?
Thank you, Brian.
All right, no problem.
We'll move on to engineering.
I'm just happy to see Brian wearing his glasses.
Yeah.
I borrowed these from somebody.
Hi, Red.
Good evening, everyone. Engineering, starting off with, Twin Bridges out in the town of Copake. So still awaiting the, bridge rail. They installed the post earlier this week and, if all goes well, they should be finished up by the end of this week. And Twin Bridges Road can then be reopened. Again, all of the past repairs were done. And if you recall, we took the opportunity as we were taking care of the red flag issue that New York State had initiated, where we had to do the work within the stream. We took the initiative to actually replace the bridge decks on those. That work, as far as the bridge decks, was done by county forces. So original estimate on what that might cost if we had private contractors do the work was anywhere between $250,000 and $300,000 to do both bridges. I just got some information late today as far as material costs for the concrete work or the concrete and various items. And so expenses, again, utilizing county forces and our equipment, our expenses as far as materials was only $32,000. So quite a bit of savings. I want to commend the highway department as well as the bridge crew for the fine work that they did in saving the taxpayers quite a bit of money on those type of repairs. So it's nice to see them getting involved with that. That was the first one that
Yeah.
we've done while I've been here, and there are many more within the county to undertake.
Need some of that work.
Yeah, so we'll continue to see what we can do as far as that's concerned.
Did PJ call you and thank you?
No, maybe tomorrow. man.
Yeah,
Valley View Bridge, my apologies, I had an error in this. It's anticipated that will be completed by the end of this week, so it's actually supposed to be opening the week of November 18th. Right now, everything is scheduled to be opened on Friday, the 22nd. Again, we are getting a storm that's coming in, so that might push them back. They had completed the bridge rail work yesterday, and they were installing some of the approach guide rail. If all goes well, again, that would actually be open this Friday. Once that is done, that will be up and operational. And then the contractor will concentrate on removing the old county temporary bridge that we have, bringing that back to our location, and then we're doing the restoration. We held off on putting on the top course of asphalt because recognizing we're going to be doing some other construction associated with dismantling the temporary bridge. So they'll come back in the spring and do that final coat. But right now, it's up to the bridge deck as far as any plowing operation, so it shouldn't be affected as far as that
I'll
concerned.
take this.
Yeah,
Right?
please.
I'll take this.
Stallbridge, oh, I'm sorry, and also in the spring, we're gonna try to coordinate to, get the sign installed, for Dean Knox.
Right.
In memory of Dean Knox, and reach out to his daughter,
Good.
to see whether she would attend that. Stallbridge, asphalt pavement has all been installed, side slope has been regraded and restored as well. There has been a delay on the delivery date of the bridge rails. Originally, we were hoping to get this bridge reopened just before Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, the contractor's indicating that there won't be until the second week of December. Other than the bridge rail, everything else is done on that particular project. So once the bridge rail is installed, second week of December, we'll be able to open that up.
Good. Before Christmas.
Yes, yeah, I have been
So
telling
Ray's
the
not here anyway,
supervisor,
so.
yeah, I've been telling the supervisors, I've been telling everyone, our goal was
Yeah.
actually get it done before Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, that's not taking place, but it will be done before Christmas.
Great.
Stuyvesant Falls Bridge. So as you recall, we've been meeting with the Stuyvesant Historic Bridge Committee. We've received comments that were included in your packet that was sent out. In addition to that, there was a request with respect to changing the proposed, bear with me, the proposed process as far as public participation as well. And again, that's been included in your packet. So first, as far as the public participation, the committee had made a recommendation that town supervisor and chairman of the committee indicated we would bring to the county, which is to change the normal process that we've been doing as far as our bridge projects and DOT projects. They're requesting that a new process be engaged or a modification to the process be engaged where a consultant would be brought in regarding the infrastructure process and infrastructure projects to obtain additional feedback from the community. The committee has indicated that the cost of that consultant could be carried by the local non-for-profit and not at the cost of the county for that particular entity. They are proposing to have an official survey for community members to share the vision as far as the values. Once that's information has been received, there would be charrette workshops that would then take place to invite folks from the community as well as DOT and other potential stakeholders. A list was provided on the back of the informational sheet that they had made the request on. Once the charrettes are done, then it would be placed into the hands of our consultant, the county consultant, which is Clough Harbor, that we've been utilizing on the project. They would do more design work as far as design alternative cost and timetable assessments to be provided. They would then have additional public workshops with Clough Harbor and the community, and then Clough Harbor would finalize a draft report. So that's in a bubble as far as that modification to the process. That's not the normal process that's followed with respect to the DOT funded projects. I have not approached the DOT whether they would fund that particular project, or that type of a process, but I did obtain a potential supplemental agreement from the consultant, Clough Harbor, to cover their additional costs, or excuse me, their additional work, associated with this process. They've identified, and again, the information, the breakdown as far as number of hours and so forth, they provide an estimated cost of $65,000 in addition to their current contracts they would request as far as that modification. So that's what's one item that's put before the committee tonight as far as whether the committee wants to undertake that type of a process and make that modification rather than doing what we're currently doing, which as was set forth in our early presentation back in August, as far as our public presentation meeting to the folks within the town of Stuyvesant, we had outlined that the goal and our process was going to be have that public meeting, obtain public comment from written comment from the public, which was provided, and we did receive quite a bit, and that would be part of the record. We were going to then move forward with respect to submitting the design report of the preferred design, which was presented at that meeting, which was the multi-girder bridge. And then what we did is we took a bit of a pause and we opened up additional comment based on the Stuyvesant Historic Local Committee and gaining input. So we've been meeting for a couple months there, and I indicated that I want to, in the November timeframe, actually submit that design report. So again, we received, in addition to this process, we've received subsequent comments from them, which we could then perhaps move forward with and incorporate into the design report. So again, does the county want to undertake this process, or does it want to just continue with our design process that the DOT has spelled forward?
Well, I mean, no disrespect to the community that wants to adhere to the more antiquitous nature of the bridge, but I think that solution we looked at, which was the most robust, the least expensive, and had the shortest window of construction, I think for the overall, getting that project done, we should move ahead as is, as we've been proceeding. I saw comments where, people were asking for a one-lane bridge, and coming from a town where we had a recently constructed one-lane bridge, it's been a nightmare. I think as soon as you start looking at, these accoutrement of different components of the bridge being bolted up against a new bridge, I don't know. I think it's just slowing things down. Or this bridge is rated at what right now?
12 tons.
12 tons currently, right?
So school buses can't use it, fire trucks can't use it. It is a problem to the community. We do need a more substantial bridge, you know what it is. That's what Ray's been looking for input from the public on, is what we want to see, you know, but,
Yeah, that's one of the big,
most of the interest, I think, you know, is coming from the folks that are here tonight, is trying to preserve that bridge and maintain it as a one-lane bridge in our community, as a historic structure. But,
Yeah, I can just tell the people from my experience, with the one-way bridge that we had a number of issues with it. We ended up having to put traffic lights on both sides. It took a project that was quite simple, and it cost sevenfold as much as it was originally developed for, and it took 6 or 7 years longer than was intended. And we still have a lot of people that are terribly dissatisfied with it.
So this has always been a one-lane bridge.
Exactly.
Yeah. 25 years.
This is
Two
not.
Right, but is the traffic the same as it was 20 some odd years ago?
Probably less. Probably less.
And you have agricultural traffic as well, right?
They've been making do.
Yeah. I would still highly recommend a 2-lane bridge. I'm sorry, but it's just seeing it personally.
We all live right there.
We have children.
There's no sidewalks. I mean, Stockville's Bridge, which is similar, that town has sidewalks, and they still have speeders coming. No, you don't want that.
Well, what we
Historic
found was,
landmark, it's an iconic bridge. It's the Stuyvesant Falls Bridge.
And my neighbors can correct me if I'm wrong, but both of the traffic incidents that happened on that bridge, neither of which had anything to do with the structure. One was a brake failure on an automobile, and one failed to make a turn, not even attempting
On
to
the
cross. No, they weren't even attempting to
They were
cross
on
the
board, it
bridge.
was trying to turn.
So neither accident had anything to do with the structure of the bridge.
Or the one line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, anyway, is that a motion, Donnell, to?
yeah, again, I would respect to the community here, that wants the Eldon design and the single lane bridge. I would make a motion to proceed, as we had intended to originally.
I will just add that the fact that it's a one-lane bridge forces people to slow down naturally without needing lights. That's how it's been working for many, many years now. So it is a huge safety concern. The rail trail is right there. There's a lot of tourists who come to use the rail trail to ride their bikes, walk, the safety issue for us.
But it was one of our suggestions that came out of our committee to ask the engineers to come up with some traffic calming, plans to incorporate into the design.
It's an ugly design, right?
That can be fixed, that we're looking for comments.
That's why we've been requesting the comments from the public.
And we have some constructive.
The funding is from the DOT.
You want to keep it
A
like,
lot of funding is DOT. Correct. Yeah, the funding, the majority of the funding is from the DOT.
And
They
Cloud
won't fund a single
Harbor's
lane bridge, will they?
estimate is.
I'm sorry?
roughly
Well, again, the single lane bridge does not meet the single lane bridge. There's specific requirements that DOT has as far as single lane bridges or the replacement of a single lane bridge. And one of them has to do with traffic volume. We are above the threshold for traffic volume, number one, as one example. And when you read I didn't bring the design manual pages with me, but it doesn't indicate that it should meet those criteria. It actually says it shall meet the following criteria. So we're above that level as far as the traffic volume. And in addition to that, it indicates that there should not be any accidents within a 3-year period associated with the bridge, the single lane bridge. And so with all due respect of what I've heard this evening, the fact, in my opinion, the fact that, yes, someone did lose their brakes on the bridge, the fact that it was a single lane bridge, that was one of the reasons for the head on. If it was a 2-lane bridge and someone lost their brakes, they could have continued to pass that vehicle as long as they stayed in their lane. The fact that it was a single lane bridge contributed to it.
But if we delay this, are we gonna lose funding?
We have a contract with New York State Department of Environment, or to New York State Department of Transportation that the county has entered into that indicates that the project as a whole needs to be completed, including all the closeout documents by the end of December of 2028. When you think of that, that is not a lot of time. I understand that it seems as though it's way out there, but it really isn't. I know one of the other items that I'm going to speak about this evening is the MOA associated with the section 106 4F process, which this project will have to go through as well.
There'll have to be a coordinated.
But keep in mind, we just went through a similar process in the town of Copake for the Route 7A reconstruction. And just that process in and of itself has taken well over a year and has put that project basically in a holding pattern for that. So we've unfortunately lost, a year on that before going into detailed design. So that being said, if we were to proceed, we still have to do the 106 process, the 4F process, absolutely, regardless of what type of structure gets installed. That being said, detailed design would not be able to take place until probably 2026. You're going to spend 9 months designing, put in the 2027, building 2027, and the engineers indicated it's approximately an 18-month process. So that brings us to 2028.
How many?
Supervisor Adams had a point, but,
Tim asked my question.
okay.
I was concerned about the availability of funding. We've been waiting in line for this funding for 2 years. 3 years.
Almost 10 years, we've been trying to get into this federal stream of money.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
Have we researched the cost to repair the current bridge?
Yeah.
we had cost estimates for that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an entire matrix that was done. It was actually provided to the local town committee last month. It was
And this
provided-
committee last month.
Yeah, and I also provided an electronic copy this month as well. But yeah, we looked at various options as far as that.
What's the cost?
Keegan has a quick question.
It's just a note about the section 106 and 4F process.
Yes.
This particular bridge is in a nationally registered historic district, so we'll have to undergo this extensive review process.
Yeah.
And so the committees.
We're aware of that.
So I would caution this group thinking about timelines, and you had another project that sounds like it was relatively straightforward that still took a year. That's where this project may end up getting bogged down because we from the community don't support what's been put forward. And what we're asking for is a moment to review this historic asset and present an argument. Any design solution is the presentation of an argument. Ray's presented an argument for a 2-lane bridge. Our community is passionate, mobilized, informed, and we have a good argument for keeping the existing bridge and rehabilitating it. And we feel that the cost in the matrix for rehabilitation is artificially inflated. What you've got in the matrix isn't really a true apples to apples comparison. That's articulated in our notes that the committee provided. And what we want is the county's money to be effectively spent. Sure, this process might cost a bit more from CHA. $65,000 sounds steep. I'm a landscape architect. I do this for a living. I've written those proposals, as have you, Ray. That number could get talked down and that process could be streamlined. You've got people who want to work with you and want to come up with good solutions. But what we don't want to see is this process getting bogged down in 106 and 4F when that's all about the adverse impact on a historic resource. And when you're just demolishing it and replacing it outright, that's the most extreme. So we want to work with you, Ray, and with the county, but this is not a good plan.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we'll move forward with Ray's plan, but I want to add to the record that I want the community's comment and
Sorry, what was the motion
to
for?
move forward with our plan to submit it to draft design. Ray will formalize that into a resolution for full board in December. But what I wanted to make sure that we include is the community's comments that have been provided get included into the design report as we move forward so that we can try and use some of the community's desires and concerns in the future of a new bridge there.
Thanks, Ron. Well put.
Okay.
Hello, may I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm just curious, how many people on this board are from this community of Stuyvesant Falls, the village itself?
Well, this is a county bridge and we're all county supervisors.
No, but I'm asking, how many live in Stuyvesant Falls?
Well, I certainly do. I'm supervisor of the town of Stuyvesant.
No, I'm asking you, in that community, that little village of all these people that feel very strongly about what they're speaking about,
Right.
because they live there.
Yeah.
Which you do not.
No, okay.
Right. I think that speaks a lot.
Okay.
You don't walk those streets, you don't have children there, you don't have older people there, you don't live there. So how do you make a decision for people who live there that say this really is not a good idea?
That's what we're tasked to do.
Pardon me one moment.
Yep.
The question that may come from
Sure.
the lack of knowledge.
Yep.
Where does the buck stop? If a lot of people that are affected want to preserve the bridge, and every meeting I've been to, DOT is constantly mentioned. Maybe there's someone here from DOT. I've never seen anyone here from DOT, which seems a little odd, that it's always pushed by DOT has these rules, and these are the things. that
Well,
we
see,
have
it's a county project, and Ray can probably answer this better, but it's a county project, and we have to design it to New York State DOT standards.
Right,
So,
but doesn't the historic thing get involved?
oh, yes, yeah, and we have to do a coordinated review with all those agencies, DEC, SHPO, all of those agencies who will be part of our design process. And we're trying to incorporate the community's concerns for that.
Your concern is performative. Because you're just sitting there saying, we're listening to you, but we're gonna just ignore you. We're giving you this chance to speak, but we don't care.
No, that's not at all what I said, but
Yeah.
Railroaded this plan through at the moment. And you're obviously not concerned that there could be lawsuits and all sorts of things bogging you down and costing the county money more.
we're always concerned.
You don't act like it, you just spoke like it.
Yeah.
You waited 10 years for when the Ryan Bridge report was given to the community.
Yeah.
That had alternatives. So 10 years went by while you're seeking federal funding, and the community was never involved again until last August, when you present a fait accompli. So I'm sorry, but that's not the way that you have community input. You had 10 years to ask the community, what do you want, in parallel to asking the federal government for money.
Well, we did have meetings with a local bridge committee 10 years ago in
Yeah, 10 years
2015,
ago. I
16,
went
you know.
through all of the minutes,
Yeah.
all of the minutes. And time after time, Lee and other people asked the board, the town board,
Yeah.
when were we gonna be updated? When were we gonna be advised? And we were constantly assured, oh, we'll be consulted.
Yeah.
The community will. And then
And we
10
have been.
years later, that's what we get.
We have been we've been 90 days of taking public comment right now. Okay.
I'm sorry, you gave us 2 weeks to submit
Right.
public comments after you showed us the plan that you had already.
But then we delayed it for 90 days, so,
No,
you
under
didn't.
commission comments, the bridge
No, you
committee
didn't.
started.
right.
You gave us 2 weeks to submit public comments, and then the bridge committee comments came afterwards. It wasn't 90 days for everyone.
Well, we're still receiving comments right now.
And you're not, you're gonna.
No, we're not going to ignore them. We're trying to incorporate them.
So what are you incorporating? Into what? Into a design? that's
Into a
already
design
done?
for the community,
It's
for
already
the,
done. So
serves the best community, you know?
So what are we
Show us that plan.
Cloud Harbor just lifted one of the options out of the Ryan Biggs menu. They did not earn their money, in my humble opinion.
How much money you spend on them?
We do.
We will take all these comments into consideration.
Okay, so Bridge
Ray,
New
you got
York,
other business.
yeah, so as far as Bridge New York projects, so for our 2024 projects, there were 3 projects that received funding. We've prepared and distributed requests for qualifications to, for design services for 2 bridges. One is the Buckwheat Bridge down in Claremont. Second one is County Route 7 in the town of Austerlitz. And then we also have a culvert replacement, County Route 11 in the town of Clobberg. So those have been sent to 15 firms that are on the New York State DOT LDSA. And our goal is to get those back just before Christmas, which would allow the engineering department to review those and then, come to committee in, January. So that way a decision could be made as far as awarding those. Then we can start our designs. Highway County Route 7A, the final MOA has been signed by both the county and the town of Copake. It's awaiting county signature by, Federal Highway Administration, Department of Transportation, SHPO as well. And again, that particular MOA was to remove the traffic circle, create a T intersection, and move the clock as well as monuments 35 feet into a green space. The reason the town of the reason the town of Copake was involved in that is because that green space was located within county right of way, but the county is going to donate that land and obviously where the clock's going to sit, and they would be responsible for maintaining it. So since they're maintaining it, they needed to be part of that MOA. All right. I just today received updated schedule for that project. We'll start to look at the incidentals as far as right-of-way acquisitions. But right now it's targeted as far as construction, potentially in 2027. So that's really pushed us back quite a bit as far as the overall schedule. Other engineering activities, 911 call center. We're currently coordinating the signing of contracts and scheduling a pre-construction meeting. The general contractor has been very aggressive. He wants to start breaking ground the second week of December.
Yeah,
If all
really?
goes well. Yeah. Yeah, he did not want to wait till the spring. He's ready to move forward.
Yeah.
So we're trying to move that along as best as we can as far as those contracts. So notice of awards have been sent out. We're just waiting for bonds and insurances from the four contractors. 11 Warren, the updated construction cost estimate has been received, and that's based on 70 to 75% design drawings. Current construction estimates at 4.7 million. That's within our budget that we had allocated for that particular project. That being said, I still am going to meet with the design team to see if we can do some additional value engineering to bring that cost a little bit lower, just to provide ourselves a little buffer, just based on what we had seen as far as some of the costs coming in or bids coming in as far as the 911 center. A little different with this particular project. Rather than having the consultant do the budget estimates, we actually, within the RFP, required that a third party be involved. So they're having the construction management firm do theirs. So again, hopefully that means that the numbers will be a little tighter as far as that goes. EV chargers. The charging station 11 Warren has been installed and is currently operational. I was informed on Monday by the contractor that they will begin the installation of courthouse EV this Friday, November 27th. Leading into that, kind of plays into the NYSERDA funding. So those projects were funded, rebate that we received from National Grid for the installation of EV chargers, plus NYSERDA monies as well. If you remember that there was the resolution before the full board this past meeting, where we're reallocating the funds and concentrating on 401 versus moving forward with the solar project out at the solid waste facility. And the reason for doing that is that the funding stream from NYSERDA, although we had met all the criteria to get an additional $450,000 potentially towards other projects within the county, in addition to the 412 that we've already received, that 450 based on the money just drying up at the state level is not going to be available. So although we've done what we needed to do, the money's just not going to be available through the state. So what we decided to do is, although the solar project at the solid waste department and their facility has a lot of merit to it, that is more of a desire, obviously, to try to going green versus a real need of dealing with 401 and some of the energy issues that we have here, whether they be windows, whether they be the lighting system, more importantly, the heating system. So what we've done is reallocated that and concentrated on 401 rather than undertaking solid waste. That being said, that audit is basically complete. So although Centrica was going to come to the board meeting this evening to discuss that, we've kind of placed that on hold. But that's not to say that if funding becomes available,
That
we-
project is still there,
that-
ready to
right,
go.
that project potentially could move forward if additional funding, comes into place. Okay. Airport, design team issued schematic design for the proposed improvements. They're currently working on their schematic design budget at this time. Engineering department and Richmore have both signed off. We're okay with, what they have at this point as far as the, schematic design. So once we get the budget, I'll provide copies of both to the committee so the committee can take a look at that as well. Airport consultants have started compiling information. We had our kickoff meeting regarding the master plan, and surveyors will begin their field work in December. At the courthouse, engineering department has received the shop drawings for the new courtroom air conditioning improvements. We're currently reviewing those, and it's anticipated the contractor will be able to start that installation in December. All right.
Great.
Water district received a request from Stewart Shops to connect to the county's water distribution system. So if you recall, in the past, when prior to Stewart's being built, they had actually reached out to the county to tie into the sewer system. They had their own on-site well that they continue to utilize. At the time, they felt it was more economical for them to utilize their own water, treat their own water, because it is considered a public water supply, and then only utilize our sewer. They've now continued that process. They realize the amount of backwash that's taking place because of all the filtration and equipment that they have to utilize, which is actually costing them money on the wastewater end because that backwash is going into our sewer. So now they want to potentially tie into our water system. I've reached out to the town of Greenport. Greenport has indicated that they have no issues as far as allowing them to tie in. So we are having a meeting with the county water and sewer district in December to review that application. In addition to that, at the same time, we'll be having a public hearing to look at the increase of water rates. The water rates have not been increased since 2015, so it's been quite some time, and they are due. So we'll be moving forward with that.
Will Jim be at that county meeting? Probably, right?
I haven't asked him, but I can invite him to it by all means.
He wants to come.
Absolutely. I know that he has some comments, and I mentioned to him that prior to approving anything, that I would review
course,
the
yeah,
plans
yeah.
with him, but I'll invite him to that meeting.
Yeah, you'll probably like that. See how it works.
Resolutions. First resolution regarding, County Route 7, the reconstruction and replacement of an existing culvert with a new bridge structure, awarding it to Colorado.
Motion and second, all in favor?
We got a nice turnout as far as the number of bids on that one. We got 7 bids in their entirety, and they were nicely grouped.
Good.
Second resolution, Board of Supervisors, requesting, Board of Supervisors to execute a contract with Bartlett Judas in the amount of $187,291 for design services associated with the culvert relining up in New Lebanon.
Move it.
Second. And again, this is Bridge New York Culvert Program. We're receiving $1 million from New York State for that particular project.
Did you vote on that?
No, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I got confused because I think I had them out of order here.
Resolution authorizing chairman to execute a professional services agreement with MJ Engineering regarding the design of the new water storage facility, new water storage tank to serve the water district in the amount of $271,000.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Authorization to designate Passera Associates of Albany and Rochester as the Columbia County Airport Aviation Design, Planning, and Construction Phase Consultant for a 5-year term. That's who we're currently utilizing.
Yeah, okay.
Move it.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Resolution, entering a professional services agreement with Atlantic Testing to perform the special testing as well as, material testing for the 911 center, not to exceed $25,000.
I'll move that.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Last resolution for me is the resolution requesting authorization to purchase and install a new generator to service North Sixth Street. That's primarily MIS, Treasurer's Office, as well as real property. When we looked at this particular project, currently there is a generator in that building. It's actually located inside of the building. It's only a 40 kW. It does not service the entire building. It only services certain portions of it. So we obtained a quote for the replacement of that unit. The replacement of that unit in kind was $94,000. We can go up to 100 kW, which would then service the entire building. I'm sorry?
You got a lot
left
over.
At a price of $133,500. So it's well worth it to go up and provide that additional upgrade. And
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Easy money though.
It is, right?
well, keep in mind, that's also the electrical portion. There's quite a bit of electrical work. I would say roughly it's about a 50-50 split as far as the cost of the generator as well as the electric. That one is decent. And the problem is we looked at going to natural gas because there is natural gas available, but the natural gas, because you're not getting the BTU out of it, we have to go up to 125.
I saw this one and realized it was.
Which will increase the overall.
Yeah.
So that's still gonna be propane and not diesel?
No, that one's going to be diesel. There's one additional resolution.
Yeah, yep. You wanna do that?
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. I didn't see that.
Yep.
I'm
One
sorry,
more,
sir.
folks.
My apologies. One more resolution.
Okay.
One more resolution, which is to fill a spot on the Water and Sewer District Commission.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Dylan volunteered, just twisted his arm.
We just told him we were gonna do it.
No, he actually said.
Laura was doing it, you're doing it.
He said he knew Laura was doing it and he would be
Okay.
glad to be part of it. No, he was absolutely happy to be part of it today, didn't he? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a real good egg.
He's motivated.
We have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Thank you, folks.
You know, we did that to your papa.
Yep.
Baby.
Right.